So we're rolling? Awesome. So can somebody do me a favor? Because I feel naked right now. And we'll be honest, can somebody throw me my hat? Thank you. I feel a whole lot better when I get my crown on. So again, as I said it to all our participants that are here, thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you all for being here, for being willing to give of your time and your talents to be able to support this community. So I want to say again publicly thank you to all you, and anybody that's already tuning in, thank you for being here this evening. Thank you for joining us. We have a lot of things that we want to talk about. We have a lot of things that we want to cover. With that said, for anybody that doesn't know me, my name is Michael Muldrow. I am a retired school district chief of police or safety professional. I am the current commissioner or chief of the York City Police Department after a 25-year career in law enforcement. And I am an advocate for this community. Even more important than that, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, and I'm a human being. And I think that's the one thing that I know as we look around this crowd that we all have in common, that we're all human beings. And as human beings, we all hurt. We all experience pain. We all deal with hard moments and hardships and trauma that cause us grief and break our hearts, whatever that may be. And that's what we wanted to do. What we wanted to do was take a page out of the things that I've learned over the years from my experiences being in the school district with awesome school district personnel, or being in law enforcement with how our colleagues help us to process the things that we deal with and experience in law enforcement. Everybody has a system of a process that's known as a critical incident stress debriefing. And what that is it's a mandatory event that occurs after traumatic experiences where they bring you into a room or bring you into a space with a group of clinicians and caring individuals that can hear you out, that can talk about your feelings, that can help you process the difference between what's perceived and what's reality, and try to give you some strategies to help you cope. So what we wanted to do was, I've seen the benefit of that in schools, not just for the staff, but for our kids. I've seen the benefit over the years in law enforcement with even hardened officers that are breaking down and on the edge, being able to go through this process, and it allows them to feel like they can make it to another day. And we wanted to bring that experience to the community. So I had the ability to use the platform that I have, the platform that God gave me, that thankfully when I call people and I call agencies and I reach out, as you can see tonight, they come. So represented here tonight is a group of York County's best. We have York College, we have Wellspan, the York City School District, York County government is here. We have pastors from Recovery House of Worship. We have the Genesis Ministries. LCBC Church is here represented. We have the York City Police Department. The chiefs and clergy are represented here tonight. We just have our police chaplains. We just have so many people who wanted to be here to help support this community, work you all through this same process, answer some questions, and help you deal with the things that are hurting you, whatever that may be. And I don't want anybody to think that it's lost on me that in law enforcement right now that we're hurting because we just lost 3 of our colleagues. We just lost 3 of our brothers, coming off of just losing one just months ago. But we also know that people are broken for so many things, even beyond that. They're broken because they have lost parents in car accidents. They're hurting because not 1, but 2 of their favorite teachers just recently passed. We have kids that are just brokenhearted and staff that are struggling to wake up tomorrow and be able to respond and do the next thing. We have families that are trying to explain to their kids why they were going online or why they were watching the news and seeing somebody shot and killed on a college campus. We have mothers that are trying to tell their little girls that it's okay to ride a subway after seeing somebody stabbed in the middle of a subway train. Anything and everything you can imagine, from the governor's house being somebody trying to burn the governor's house down to the day-to-day incidents that people are already dealing with that are breaking them apart, like the attack downtown, and anything and everything else you could imagine in between. This community is hurting right now. This state is hurting right now. Our country is crying. And we have to take moments like this to put our differences aside and come together and be able to talk about it, to be able to help get people through it. And that's what tonight's about. Tonight's about coming together. Tonight's about putting our titles and our differences and our ideologies aside and just being here for one another, trying to put a mental, physical, spiritual, emotional Band-Aid on people's wounds. That's what we're here tonight. So it's just funny, even when I put this out in the universe and I posted it, there was individuals that responded back about being brokenhearted because they were homeless. There's people that have messaged me on the side that they just dealt with sexual assaults. There's individuals who are fighting recovery every day that are brokenhearted just because they're tired of feeling weak. And we all knew how necessary this was. So that's why we're here tonight. That's why we're here tonight. As we speak, as you feel moved or motivated, that's why we have extra mics here. Some of the people are already mic'd up. Your neighbor might already have a mic. But as we feel led in this conversation, I want whoever to just feel willing to jump in and throw it out there. If you feel the need, or if you have to because your organization said, hey, make sure you highlight our organization. As a boss, I understand that too. Please feel free to share who you are and where you're from. And we just want to start a conversation tonight, start that debriefing process for our community and see what we can do, see who we can help along the way. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you all for being here. And we're going to dive into this conversation. All right, is that okay for everybody? So I just want to kick things off. I took the liberty, even before we start, to take feedback and questions. And if I didn't say it already to any of the online viewers that are watching, in addition to me, we have a fabulous virtual moderator. We have an individual right now who is watching your comments, watching your questions, watching your feedback that you can engage with and dialogue with, whether it's on Facebook or whether it's on the Zoom link webinar. You can start to give your feedback. You can start to make comments. You can start to post questions. And she is awesome, Miss Chastity Frederick. I would tell her to raise her hand, but you can't see it anyway. Because she's behind the screen. But we have Miss Chastity, who is here with us. She's one of my colleagues. She's representing the City of York, our Health Bureau, and Still Meadow, York City campus. And her husband do a lot in this community. And it's just awesome because each and every agency and each and every person that's here, when I reached out and told them what I wanted to do, it was one of those kind of things where it was a matter of I called and they decided that they were going to come just because they wanted to be here. They had to be here. So I would have us go around and everybody introduce themselves, but I think we might be better suited just to dive into the conversation. So I'll kick us off, and then Chas, just again, you're already mic'd up if you want to jump in with any of the questions or any of the comments you're seeing along the way. But I want to start us off with a thought that I had, one of the thoughts that I had that made me even want to assemble you all. Just the sheer volume of things. In the last month, we saw anything and everything, as I alluded to, from the stabbing to the shooting assassination to that family that lost a young father in a car accident, to 3 more officers getting killed, and everything in between, the governor's house getting set on fire, just you name it. With all those things, with all those losses and traumatic images, What do you guys feel like it's doing to us as a community? Anybody can dive in and offer. How's that affecting us? Don't be shy now, guys.
I can go.
Do we already have you a mic?
I don't have one. I'm Laura Edwards. I'm the supervisor of student services from New York City School District. I think us as adults take it a lot harder. The district just lost 2 staff members in the same school building in 1 week. And I watched our students have so much resilience and so much comfort and love for each other. And little boys getting girls' tissues and them hugging each other and holding each other, and just so much compassion among our children. I think as adults, we forget to do that with each other. You know, we need to love each other. We need to walk in love and love our community. We don't know what each other are going through. Like Commissioner Muldrow just shared, you know, people reached out when they saw this, and we just need to have more compassion and love as adults like our children do. I just realized their resilience and their compassion, and it was, even in the toughest moments, they were stronger than the adults in the building. You know, I just think about a moment that day where a little girl walked up and said, "I need you to smile," because that teacher that they just lost smiled every day. And that's the things we need to remember as adults. That's how we need to lift each other up. We need to carry the memory. And we need to keep moving, unfortunately, because life goes on. But we also have to remember we don't know what each other are going through, and so we just need to have a lot more compassion and love for each other.
What do you guys feel like? It's funny when you said about our children. It's sad that they have to be, but it's funny that you made the comment that you made that our children are more resilient than our adults. And I thought it was very profound when you said, because our kids do a better job getting what they need and giving each other what they need. What's getting in the way of us as adults being able to connect with our brothers and our sisters, regardless of what we look like, and just like, what's getting in the way? I'll take the mic and I'll run around if anybody wants to. What do you guys feel like is getting in the way? Pastor Reggie, it's on your heart, so I'm going to poke you with it.
I think the divisiveness that's happening because of some of the incidences are starting to get in the way of us having the compassion that's necessary for each other. Those are some of the things that I see and I witness, and there is a lack of apathy. Some people just don't care. They just don't feel it ain't my neighborhood. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, I'm in the city, so a lot of this stuff affects me, and we see things differently than the people who don't live in the city. And I think that divisiveness is a part of what's going on right now. I think as a community, we need to overcome, because you may not live in the city, but you're tied to the city if you work for the city. You come here every day, so it's a part of what you have to deal with as well. You know what I mean? It's not just come in, get your car and go home. It's not, because you could be a victim as well. So, you know, we want to make sure that as a community, we hear each other and we embrace one another and put our differences aside.
Great answer. I love that.
So I've been thinking about this a lot today, and I think one of the things that we as adults have to remember more than anything is that we're more alike than different, no matter where you come from. And I go back to thinking about the time I was in the military and going into different cultures, going into different places where people speak different languages. And at our core, you don't even have to speak the same language. You don't have to be the same color. You don't have to be from the same culture. When you get down to the core things like what we care about, what our needs are, the things that make us human beings, we're really much, much closer than apart. And I think we forget about that because of all the noise and all the things that are going on all the time in the world. We're really all very, very close to the same. If anything, I think that's one thing we could focus a lot more on, is just remembering that loving each other and caring about each other, and remembering that we're more the same than not.
I think you're 100% right. I hope everybody heard that. I hope that's a sentiment that is a takeaway that everybody carries with them. The one thing we know about death is nobody can avoid it, and it affects everybody, regardless of what you look like, regardless of how much you have or don't have, where you grew up, where you didn't grow up, or why you're taken too soon. It hurts. And it hurts. So throw out another question that I had got. What do you all think is hurting people the most right now? Is it the loss of the individual? Is it the loss or the sense of security or control? Or just the general lack of empathy? What do you think's hurting the most right now in all this? You know, I don't ever mind, but when God points me, I'm going to go.
My name is Eric Schlosser. I work with the school district of the City of York. Honestly, I think is a sense of belonging, that the things that you were able to overcome when you belong are much greater than if you feel like you don't belong, right? And so I think in your first question, Mike, was just these things in our pockets, these cell phones. We spend way too much time what happened? And looking at things and getting caught up in what's really not real, and we're missing these people. Yeah, the people that are in the room, and that sense of belonging, having a family, a church family, a work family, like we belong to each other. Yeah, each and every one of us. If I'm hurting, so are you, and if you're hurting, so am I. And getting, belonging, is what is so critical for us. And the way we heal is how do we help people belong? Because you know what? If I belong, I'm not going to be violent because no, I belong to you and you belong to me. If I belong, I'm not going to rant and rave about you because you're part of my family. So how do we get back to where we belong to each other?
How do we get there?
Yeah.
How do we get there? How do we work towards that?
I think Laura kind of said the baby steps is that always thinking about, hey, you know what? I don't know your story. I'm going to assume, even if we disagree, I'm going to assume that he didn't mean to hurt me or didn't mean to, whatever. I'm going to assume positive intent. And I don't know where you're coming from. And, maybe, your morning was an awful morning and you just need somebody to smile at you. And so that, I can do that. I can smile. And I can offer a word of encouragement.
It's funny that you said that. That was my biggest takeaway from Dr. Barry Brown's tenure as superintendent, was that assumed positive intent piece that she came in with. I carry that with me because it's so easy to judge. It's so easy to go there in your head why somebody's acting the way they are towards you, why somebody not doing something, or why are they doing something? Why are they not responding to my pain the way I expect them to? How many times are things led by that? Why are people not responding to my, can't they see I'm hurt? Don't they know I just lost somebody? Don't they know an officer just got killed? Why are they not being more decent? Why are they not being more empathetic? Why are they not? But are we asking? It's funny that you said that. It made me, and feel free to chime in because I'm going to chime. Go ahead, Ms. Laura, because I'm going to chime in all night.
the two words that keep coming to my mind as we talk about this is our pride and our ego get in the way. And
Ooh.
we allow that to stop us from walking up to a stranger and saying something nice. You know, we allow it to judge the person across from us. We continue to allow that pride and ego, and we also need to make sure it's okay to talk about it. You know, I think in the district, we are putting two practices in place. It's called Capturing Kids' Hearts, and the other one is restorative practices. And we all need to have, just like this circle, if it's a restorative conversation for our community. We don't do that as adults. And that's what we need. We need to let go of that pride and ego and acknowledge your feelings.
I literally wrote something down because I want to come back to the group on one of the points that you said, but I want to take one of our online questions. Ms. Chastity, you want to go ahead?
Okay, so just some positive feedback first. We have about 40 people watching on YouTube, 18 on Zoom, and lots on Facebook Live. So Gabriel Morales says, very productive job, blessings and prayers to everyone. And on Facebook Live, we have essentially a reiteration, echoing of the sentiments that were just mentioned. We adults can learn from the empathy of children. We're fragile human beings. We need to respect each other, paying attention to other people, showing care. As you just spoke about, agreeing that phones have taken away our ability to connect with strangers on the street or in our workplaces. Elizabeth says we all need each other. Melanie says our city and our youth need Jesus. And Emily sends thanks for having this conversation. And then on Zoom, so we have a few messages coming in here. Latisse asks or says, I think we're living in silos. Life has gotten so hectic that we forgot our community. Everyone keeps their head down instead of interacting with neighbors. Many people are chastised for speaking their views, their opinions. We're afraid to speak. And she believes it's a lot of fear of each other and too busy comparing ourselves to others, trying to make it. We forget community and what that means.
Let's grab that one because it ties into the question that I wanted to pose to the group off of what Ms. Laura said. Even with the fact that there's a lot of different silos in the room right now. I mean, whether it's WellSpan, whether it's your college, whether it's the church and the world, whether it's a school versus law enforcement, there's a lot of different silos in the room right now. Black, white, Spanish, male, female. There's a lot of different buckets, if you will, and silos, even like what they were saying. And to your point earlier, even as leaders and bosses of your organizations, let's start to get a little real with our conversation. Are we really making it okay for people to talk about their pain?
I was thinking about what everybody said. One of the things that struck me is I have 6 children. And as I watch them grow, they're very perceptive. They're more perceptive than we are. If my wife or myself or someone in the family is hurting, they know. They don't know what it is, but they're very sensitive, and they will sit next to you, and they won't say a word. You see, you mentioned the phone. We get so preoccupied with things of the world that we forget to have the eyes of Jesus. Jesus always was watching and paying attention to people, looking. We get so wrapped up in ourselves that we're fearful to show who we really are. So even tonight, some of us are quiet. We're fearful. There should be no fear in us. You know, we need to embrace people. I'm working with on the trauma garden. Why? Because people are traumatized. And how can we give hope to the hopeless? How can we encourage those who are struggling? We ourselves have to step out, and we have to be transparent and not fearful of what others think. If we keep our eyes focused, for me, on the Lord, then He opens up doors for us that we never knew existed. And then we can extend our hand out and say, let me help you. And again, going back to the children have that keen sense of awareness. Most of you, I don't know if you have children or not, but you grew up in a family. Some of your brothers, some of your sisters, some of your uncles, somebody in your family had I bet if you thought about this and I asked, who was the most sensitive person that really cared about me? Few in number. A lot of people you know. I know a lot of people, but how many are sensitive and really want to put their arm around you, and excuse me, but and say, how can I help you? Or or just be quiet, just sit there. Sometimes all you need to do is sit. I just think that ties into some of those things.
Absolutely. I didn't know if I saw a hand go. I thought I did. Absolutely. Let's keep riding that. We're talking about other people's pain.
One thing that Officer Reinert and I were talking about when we were sitting here before we started was how do we keep this feeling going? This week we reached out to each other, we hugged each other, we told each other we loved you, we love each other, but how do we keep it going? Because I think in our day-to-day, somebody mentioned apathy. It's not apathy, but it's like busyness, and we always care about each other, but it makes you sort of stop in your tracks this week and not take each other for granted like we often do. Tomorrow I know on my calendar I have a meeting with Howard. And, if it was a normal night, I would just think, oh yeah, I have a meeting with Howard. We'd chit-chat, maybe joke around. But, now it's tonight, this week, we've been hugging each other, telling each other we love them. And I think we just need to keep that going because we are human, and just to spread the empathy and compassion and just not let go of that feeling.
Even beyond the traumatic event
Right,
that we went through.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to just, and I don't want to stay there forever, but I want to poke it again. Are we really allowed to hurt? Are we? Are we making it okay for us to feel pain and hurt? Let me grab this here because there's a mic over there. I'm sorry. You can hold on to that one for me for a minute. I hear your head's shaking and I can see it. I want you to share it because I see it in there.
Well, as a private practice psychotherapist, I hear adults' fears and kids' fears. I listen and I witness them as my job, but also, it's important to me to do that as a friend and a family member. And the truth of the matter is, there's a shortage of us. You live long enough, you have stuff happen to you. I don't necessarily see it as kids being more resilient than adults. It's just that we've lived long enough that we have layers, a lot more layers than kiddos. Thank goodness for the kids. So it's a challenge to validate the real pain, the grief, the loss. I had to go to school to learn how to sit with people and first to sit with myself in those feelings. It's not easy, but I've learned that it's better than the alternative. And I think that's what we see mounting up. Things are speeding up in our culture. Technology has its benefits as well as its drawbacks. It's hard for us to keep up with it with the advent of AI now as well. It will take a toll on us, and to me, the most important thing is exactly what everyone is in this room saying in bold and underlining, if we were computers ourselves, right? Putting in italics. We need each other. We need humans. We need connection. We can use technology as a tool, but right now we have no safety code or ethics or norms to follow between technology and humans. And so having these kinds of conversations to allow the adults to talk about the impact that smartphones have had on our lives, as well as caring for the kiddos, they're going to see us doing this, and that is the most valuable way of being with people that are younger. We might try to take their phone or not let them use it in the classroom, And that's more of a reactive way. Our fears are built into us, they keep us alive. So it's also helpful to have fear. But when the fear is extreme, or maybe unwarranted because we're triggered because of something that has happened in the past that might not actually really be happening right now, but it's coloring our perception, and we're acting on that because, again, we have this shortage of resources. So in the past, if we look towards our history, how do people get through? How have humans gotten through? We didn't have the technology. We did this. Commissioner Muldrow, before we got started, you mentioned you want a campfire circle. What is more primal than fire, right? We go in a circle and we come together and we connect. And you don't have to pay for that service. You don't have to have insurance for this service. So this, making it a priority, living with this intention, as well as having the courage that everyone in this room, as well as all of the first responders every day, when they go to work, to be with the things that other people instinctually run away from, right? I think I've said enough. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Michelle, you had a piece you wanted to add, and then we'll take an online comment.
Excellent. I'm Michelle Crossan. I'm with the WellSpan Health Start program. And there's been so many things that have resonated with me, so I want to try to remember what I was going to say. But you had asked if we're creating that space for people to talk about it at work. And probably not the best. You know, I think we all could find better ways to do it. But I think the really first step is just to validate that everybody's feelings are what they are. You know, I think we tend to judge those and minimize because we're caring people. And, you know, not to call anybody out, but, you know, people are like, well, I didn't have to deal with a loss, or I wasn't that close to things. But we're all dealing with, you know, maybe something that happened in our past, like you had just said, and, you know, maybe it didn't impact us right away, but then all of a sudden, 4 days later, you know, you're just crying for no reason, you know, and you're like, wait a second, what just happened? So I think the very first thing is to validate that feeling. You know, whatever you're feeling, it's okay, and just to feel it. But also to know that if you're getting to that point where things are getting in your way of your daily living, that there's people that can help 24/7. You know, we have our mobile crisis team and co-responders, and, you know, our program at Start is open daily for people to walk in. So I think those are the two things I wanted to mention, is just really to validate people's feelings, and then really that there are people that can help at any time. I did have one other thought, was the first thing I think as adults that we tend to do is to isolate when we have those strong emotional feelings. And I think we have to push past our comfort zone and really reach out, like everybody is saying. But it's very natural to kind of want to isolate and kind of pull into each other. And it's hard to ask for help.
It's hard to ask for help.
It is.
That's a whole entire hashtag that should be on a T-shirt
Yes.
for that all of us as helpers wear. It is hard. Matter of fact, I'm going to write that down when I start. That literally, you should, yeah, like I will cite you properly.
I'm sure I'm not the first one to say that.
I will cite you properly because that's the first time I heard it. But that literally needs to be a hashtag, even one for tonight. It's hard to ask for help. I want to jump back into some of the things you said, but we'll go ahead and take an online comment because I seen Ms. Chastity throw her hand up.
So Victoria Valdez is joining us. She's a school social worker, and she said that she is a humble helper who has felt weighed down by all that has happened and how fast it has happened, and is noting that we barely have time to process one event before we have another to process. She is shouting out to Officer Reinhardt, who reminded her that we're more alike than we are different, and that none of us get through life alone or unscathed. And this is a hashtag too, Muldrow. She said, I find peace in our collective heartbeat. And there's
Collective heartbeat.
multiple comments online. Karen said that children are learning what they live, so we as adults need to show love. P said that the hate is in our individual hearts first, and so we need to deal with that. And then noted that we need to ask for help if we feel that we are dangerous to ourselves or others, to reach out. and that it's important for family to check in on each other. And Cynthia's noting that it takes a lot of courage these days to ask for help.
Back to what you said. I want to poke that. Thank you, Miss Victoria. Hi. I see you're on there. You said you were going to tune in. I appreciate you jumping on. It's funny because these are so many people that I've worked with. That brings up a great point, and I want to say thank you, Ms. Valdez, for your transparency. I just want to pause right there and put a pin in this and dive back in and pose the question, who helps us? And I say that, and I can say that transparently. I found myself when I was running the other day, and it was a good run. I mean, that's my coping mechanism, thankfully. It was a good run, but I found myself halfway in. Like I told Jenny, the first half was a normal run. The second half was miles of crying. We have these kind of conversations. I call you a lot. Thankfully, I have Miss Endai. You're the one that tells me to just breathe. Who helps us? Who's there for you? Who keeps it? How do you take the weight off of your own bucket? What do you have to share? What does anybody have that they can share for us as helpers to be able to keep our buckets from getting so full? Anybody?
So I think those of us that work day in and day out in trauma, whatever kind it is, I think that relying on the folks that we work with, building that family with the people that we're with, but also taking strength from the people that we help. Knowing that, in my role, I work with folks that come in that experience horrific trauma and being able to give them back some value and some worth. And that's something that makes me stronger in my job and helps me to know that despite all the bad things that happen, there are still good people. I mean, everybody in this room is providing some sort of good in this community, and there are so many other people that aren't here that are providing good in this community, and I think we just need to take strength from that. I also think just relying on people. The other day I sent an email to somebody and just said, I want to do more. Use me. What can I do? And it was like a cry for help, but it was also a way to say, like, okay, I have these strengths. I don't have these strengths. Where do you need me? Where can I best serve, like, this community? And I don't live in this community. I live out in I don't know if you call them the suburbs around here or what you call them, but I don't live in York City, but I work in York City. And I think acknowledging that we're going to have really bad days, we're going to have really hard days. I know for us, as we're part of the forensic team at York Hospital, we rely on each other. Like, if I have a bad shift, I'm calling my manager, I'm calling a coworker. So being able to be honest, I know we talked about being fearful as adults of, looking weak or being sad. This weekend I was at church and my daughter reached over while we were praying for all the things that have been happening, and she just put her arm around me, and it just felt so good. So it's like having strength at home, having strength at work, and not being afraid to reach out and say, I feel weak, I feel vulnerable, and knowing that somebody's not going to make fun of you for it, that someone's going to say, you're right, you should feel vulnerable, and let you maybe have a good cry, let you have those kind of vulnerable moments. So yeah, reach out to people around you. That's who gives us strength. But also, knowing that the work that you do as law enforcement is keeping our streets safe. What churches do is bringing hope and peace and love to folks that may not otherwise feel it, coming to a hospital setting or an outpatient setting and not feeling judged. That is such good work for patients to see and feel that's what makes, at least for me, that's what makes me feel positive, especially on the really, really bad days.
And we unfortunately had a whole lot of them
Yes.
in succession for a whole lot of time.
Yes.
It's funny because you said the one comment you were saying, and even Pastor Reggie had alluded to it. We know now that we don't have, when I started in this role, we had young people dying every week. It literally felt like we were losing young people every week. Now we don't have those hits happening anymore. The community, I'm blessed. I want to say thank you publicly. Our community is different. It looks different. Our landscape looks different. What we saw in this last month is a vulnerability that's happening everywhere and anywhere. We're exposed everywhere. We're losing people on college campuses. We're losing people on subways. We're losing people out. I mean, that was a police department in a rural area. That wasn't in a city alley somewhere in Philadelphia. That was in a rural area. We're vulnerable anywhere and everywhere. That's what we've seen over the course of this last month. And I think that's one of the things that is adding to the heartbreak. So not to dive into that too deep and stay in that pain point, but so what are when we've talked about ourselves and what we can, to a certain extent, how we deal with things, but back to the community that may be watching, what are the obstacles that are keeping them from getting help? Why wasn't there already a debriefing that happened for the community? Why do we still have to be the ones reaching out to other people? Why wasn't the room full the other day when we were at the trauma seminar? What's keeping our community from feeling like they can get the help that we know they need? We obviously know they need. We wouldn't be taking so many. I'm not knocking. When I say this next comment, Wellspan, this isn't a knock. We wouldn't be taking all the medication that we take. We wouldn't be responding to the kind of incidents that we respond to as law enforcement. We wouldn't be so mean on these boxes online if we weren't hurting. We know we're hurting. We know that people need help. What's keeping us from getting the help that we need to get? I'm going to grab a mic and I'm just going to throw it over here.
And Commissioner Muldrow, can I just chime in here because Judy just hopped on and she said, I'm new. How do I ask when I need help? So that might be.
Okay, wow. I hear you, God. I got a room full of helpers. Thank you, Judy. I'm going to sit over here with Victory. I'm going to slide over here with Victory. Yeah, Judy is online, and Judy just asked us.
Judy says that she's new. How do I ask when I need help? Because sometimes she says, I feel like I have nobody.
It's funny that she says that. Thank you, Judy, for being that vulnerable and being that transparent. And it was the note that I made to want you to talk more about START, to want to hear more about mobile crisis. I'm not putting anybody on the spot, but we're all responders here. If you can't be open and be willing to tell Judy how to get help from you, how do we expect her to be any better afterwards? My pastors, my officers, none of us we don't have the right to be shy. We don't have the right to be shy. God put us here to be able to give answers and give solutions and give help to people like Judy. So let's talk to her about getting that help. Because she's braver than we all are.
I don't know if you want to do the Judy thing. I just wanted to chime in on how you asked, how do we get the help that we need as people who help others? And what I have is what's called the support group. And that support group allows me to be transparent. They allow me to be vulnerable. And I'm not Pastor Reggie when I'm with that group. I'm just Reggie that's crying for help. I'm Reggie that's going through his own problems. I'm Reggie that's going through his own sicknesses. And they don't judge me. It's called a no judgment zone. We don't believe that you can judge me for my vulnerability. And then we communicate with it being tempered with understanding. Because in all of you get understanding. And if I don't understand you, you can't understand me. If you don't understand me, you can't help me. So we place that as a priority in our support group. And then that way we get along in that support group. And our goal is to make sure that we're whole. Because we come to the conclusion that we can't operate in silos alone effectively, that we need each other to be able to be cohesive enough that when you're in need, I'm in need, and then that way we can help each other in our needs, and we move collectively together. And in that way, that's kind of how we get the help that we need individually and as a group. And it's called my support group. And each of them have different places in society, but they have different places in my life for different things that I may have to go through. So then that way, I'm not capable of having the cure all for all, but I am capable of being able to say, listen, like, I don't know what I'm doing with this marriage thing. I need some help with my marriage, right? And I'm vulnerable enough to say what I'm struggling with. I don't know what I'm going with this grandfather thing. I need help with these grandkids. They're running me crazy. I have somebody that says, listen, don't worry about it. Give them the remote, shut up, and let them do what they do. You know what I mean? And it's just simple things like that that takes me off the ledge. And that's the benefit of having a support group that's non-judgmental. But it communicates with understanding as its temperament. They need to understand me. I need to understand them. Because I can't help anybody. This may help Judy too. I can't help anybody that don't tell me what they need help with. I think that level of vulnerability and transparency is important in terms of what we do.
I love that, and I think that's good for the group. It's funny you said, I think that you wanted to circle back around, and it was a comment that you had for the group, for us as helpers, but I still think that ends up being good for Judy and the community that's watching. I literally wrote it down because I think that's an awesome takeaway. Build or find a support group. But in her case, in her transparency, like she said, I'm new here. So she hasn't had time to build a network yet. So she's going to be more likely to need to be able to lean on our systems for support. So just tying what he said, but back into getting Judy, it's almost like giving this group an awesome case study.
Well, and
How do we
Sorry.
get Judy those supports?
So I'm Tiffany Kleiser, and I'm the Forensic Mental Health Director for York Adams MHIDD. And to answer Judy's question, it is really difficult. The mental health system can be daunting. It's complicated. So our office can act as maybe the first step in starting, trying to get connected to services. We're connectors. We link anybody, kids, adults, to services, mental health services. Sometimes it's just basic needs, help with budgeting, housing, whatever someone needs, because we have to take care of basic needs before we can get into, mental health treatment sometimes. But we are the linkers and the connectors in the community. So if you wanted to reach out to our office, we are open Monday through Friday, 7 days a week, 8 to 4:30. You can stop in or give us a call, and I can somehow share my information.
Can you fill the number out?
Sure,
She's going to send it now.
I can do that, yep.
Go ahead.
If you want to say it, she's
Yes,
going to literally
I'm
type
going
it
to
while
put
you're
it
saying
right in the
Okay.
chat. Yeah.
Our phone number is 717-771-9618.
And the name of your office again?
York Adams, MH-IDD.
And just so that they have a friendly, say your name again, so they have a
Tiffany.
friendly face to put it to.
Tiffany Kleiser.
I love that, by the way. I hope everybody else, I don't want to get sidetracked, but I don't want to sidetrack because I think that's why we're here tonight. I love what she just did, and I hope we're all willing to do that, to really put it's one thing to tell somebody, oh, and give them a nice fluffy answer. It's another thing to say, just call me. So, at the end of the day, I hope more of us are willing to just say, just call me.
There is a question that goes along with this online, and that is from an anonymous viewer who notes that it's hard to find help without costing. And so if anyone can speak to that.
Anybody, just dive in. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll come to you in a moment here. I just want to say, to Judy's question, isolation is terminal for all of us. And so even part of the power of this moment tonight, just for us that are present in the room, is proximity to other people. And when we have that, that's why I love you, Commissioner, because we've spent time together. So I love you. You text me, I text you because we have a relationship because of proximity. And so when we're isolated, and for Judy, who's new to the community and trying to look for where do I find those relationships? I represent a faith community, and I know there are several pastors here as well, and I would just encourage you, that's a free place you can go. And even more than services that happen, music that's played, messages that are preached, churches are essentially a gathering of people. It's a community of people. And at the very beginning, before there were buildings or all the things we think of churches today, it was people who loved each other, served one another, prayed for one another, bore each other's burdens, encouraged one another. that's not about a building, it's not about a service, it's about relationships with one another. And so I encourage you to find a faith community that you can connect with where you can begin to have those relationships they're mutual, like Reggie was talking about. Like, I can be honest about what's happening in my life, you can be honest about what's happening in yours. We each have to carry our own load, but then we also get to bear one another's burdens. And there's something powerful in that helps us get through. And even like the stuff that we're gathered here tonight for is, it's just too much. It's too much for one person to carry. Yet there's something that happens when we share it with one another. It helps us metabolize the pain. It helps us to gain strength from each other. And there's no shortcuts out of the pain, right? Like you can't get out of it. You got to walk through it. And we all need other people to help us walk through when life gets tough.
That's I want to throw this out, and I think Ms. Endai, you're getting ready to fire off and say something. I want you to. I just want to throw it out based off of what Pastor Fitz just said, because it's a challenge that God's been putting on me a lot. I just want everybody to think about it and challenge yourself. So I guess I'm making it a challenge to the group. When we get the calls, are we answering? When you get the call, if you get off at 4, if the call comes in at 3:58, are you still answering? When you're at the grocery store and you're walking up to Wise and you see that woman in her car and she's obviously crying and your heart is screaming because you can feel it. And everybody in this room, everybody in this group, I know you do. We're all empaths to a certain extent. That's why we take these jobs. When you see her, do you acknowledge her or do you walk by? When the email comes in, do you stop and read it and respond to it? When you see the person we're all getting these calls, and I'm guilty of it my own self. We are all getting these calls, not just cops. We're all getting these calls, but are we really answering them? Just ponder that for a second, Ms. Endai.
Yeah, I wanted to say that it's really important, as I am New York City trauma responder, I think it's really important for us to be intentional, be very intentional about selecting people to be your support, in your support system. Identify individuals that you know you have a safe person to go to, or you have a safe place to go to, because oftentimes we have friends, but we know particular friends or coworkers or loved ones that we know that they're going to give us, good advice or just be there and sit there. And I think we often avoid those things because we think we need to have this powerful words or this big dialogue, but sometimes you just need to sit and just hold space for individuals. Just really just be there, because they'll tell you what they need. The individual will tell you what they need, and sometimes they just need you to sit there, and that speaks so many volumes. And this position that I am is really unique because, also, anyone that is, needs to be connected to resources, I have that ability to be able to connect you. And if you are unable to get to that appointment, I can take you. But there's different services and in the room that I work with so many of the individuals here that I can call them and say, hey, I have Judy. What can we? This is what she needs. How can you help her out? How can you assist her? So, if anyone needs that connection, like I mentioned earlier, I'm that bridge with service providers and families to help them navigate some of these things. But I think it's really important, even for service providers, to create a plan. We always tell everyone to create a plan for yourself. If you're feeling bad, who can I call? If I need to laugh, who can I call? Like, if I need to go and sit and have a cup of coffee, who can I call? So I think it's really important for us as service providers to have that plan, because how can we help if we aren't helping ourselves?
So how can any of the viewers that are watching, or anybody that ends up seeing this later or sharing this, how can they, because you threw out a lot, and I'm not trying to make you have to carry it, but that's one of the things about this. We have to be willing to lean in and do what we say we're going to do. We have to, if I say I'm going to do this, if I say I'm going to be willing to die for this community, I have to be willing to do what I say I'm going to do. How can they get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me through my email, which is edabney@yorkcity.gov. www.start.org. You can give me a call on my number, 717-893-6907. And that phone is on 24 hours, as my position is 24 hours, so call me, and I do answer.
Okay, she's accepted the challenge. Y'all heard that. I asked when life calls, do we really answer? So I just love how she segued into that. Michelle, I told you I was going to circle back around to it. It sounds like START is an awesome resource. But does the average person in the York community know what START is? Tell us about START.
Okay, then we have to get back to her because she's been wanting to talk. START is a behavioral health, kind of like an urgent care. We're open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Fridays. We have walk-in crisis service available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And that's, you can walk in same day, see somebody if you're having a crisis. Crisis can look different to anybody, but it could be something where, you know, normally you would have went to the emergency room because you didn't know where else to go. You can walk into our office where we're located right up on George Street at the Loretta Claiborne building. Our office number is 717-356-5060.
Do you get that, Chaz? Okay.
And the crisis number, do you know that off the top of your head?
717-851-5320.
And crisis is available 24/7 to talk to somebody, and they also have mobile crisis where they'll come out to you as long as it's a safe place for them to go, and they will meet you in your home or in your community and can help debrief, kind of talk you through a situation and get you to where you need to be. And that could be a mental health crisis or addictions crisis. I think that's about it. Our START program does have therapists, peer support, recovery support, and APPs and physicians, so it is a comprehensive program. It is very short-term. We try to see people within a couple weeks to a couple months to kind of get them stable and then move them on to ongoing services. I will emphasize what everybody else says. It's not necessarily that people need a formal behavioral health program. Maybe they need a connection to the community, maybe they need a church, maybe they need food services, maybe they need shelter, and so we do help make those connections, at least, you know, what's available in those areas. We try to keep a comprehensive list, and we work very closely with our community partners to try to stay informed and know what's out there.
What does START cost me? The average person that's watching, if they're not me or if they're not, you know, my daughter and you're on the insurance or working somewhere, how do you pay for START?
Behavioral health is so complicated, but thanks to the wonderful partnership with the county, crisis services are a county-funded program, so that is no cost to any individual who's in crisis. So if you walk in and see a crisis counselor, if mobile crisis comes out to you, that is a benefit of the county's services that is contracted through WellSpan, so there is no cost to crisis services. For all other services, it really depends on your insurance. You know, for peer support or recovery support services, that goes along with medical assistance. That is a MA service that's funded. And then everything else is kind of out of outpatient billing, so it's really dependent on your insurance. If you don't have insurance, we get you the information to apply for the, you're going to answer that question?
Yeah, I can chime in here. With the things that Michelle's talking about, there are ways to navigate that, to cost for payment for services. So our office, we can assist with navigating all that because it is a complicated system. But there are there's some assistance for that.
Because obviously paying for it ends up being a major obstacle for people. If I am the median household incomes of some of our communities, not just York City, the median household incomes for some of our communities may only be $32,000 a year for the whole entire family. If my struggle is figuring out how to pay my rent, figuring out how to try to put a bag of groceries in my cabinet in my refrigerator, and then still hoping that I have something left to be able to try to get care when I know I need care, we know that this is a major obstacle for people. I mean, I've been there. I mean, I've been there. it's a major obstacle when you're deciding on a budget what you're going to live with and what you're going to live without. So hearing that you guys have alternatives and options for them to be able to pay for your services is awesome. How easy is that to navigate getting it paid for? I've seen her shake her head. Pat?
Talk to professionals.
I would say we have the right people that can help, either if it's in the county or through WellSpan Financial Aid. I am not the expert in getting things funded, but we try to use every resource out there. If you're in that bracket of income, you do qualify for medical assistance, which would qualify you for services without a copay. So there are lots of, I would not say it's an easy system to navigate. But there are people that are experts at that we can help connect you to that would walk you through that process.
I just want to, I have to say, and I'm probably saying this on behalf of somebody that's watching, thank you for being that honest. Thank you for being that honest. Because we all can get up here with respect to our agencies and our entities and our organizations, and we can sell product. We can all tell you what the mission statement says, and we can tell you that, oh, this, we offer this, but we don't always do what you just did and say, just flat out, look, it's not a perfect world. It's not easy to navigate. I commend you. I want to make sure that I'm that person. I want to make sure that people that work for me feel comfortable enough to do the same thing, because that's the only way you fix it,
Yes.
is by being transparent and talking about it. Oh, I'm sorry. Jen?
That's okay. So just kind of to piggyback off of what Michelle was saying, we do offer the START program as a walk-in program. We offer mobile crisis, but another added benefit is that we also have co-responders. So I'm the co-responder for York City Police Department. We have right now 4 other co-responders in other respective jurisdictions, hopefully more coming in soon. Our main objective and our main goal is to respond with police to these acute situations. So when you're not having a great time and police are at your door, or you don't feel like you can make it to the hospital or to a walk-in center, and you don't have the ability to call in for mobile crisis, and suddenly police are there. We show up and we're able to do those evaluations and offer support and offer community resources and connect you where you need to be connected, right there in your home, on your scene, at your level. Commissioner Muldrow mentioned earlier that we don't have the right to be shy, and I think that comment was for me, because he went
No,
to
it's
give me
for
the mic and
everybody.
I shook my head.
It was everybody.
very quickly.
It was everybody, I promise.
I'm not as seasoned a public speaker as everyone else is. I very much enjoy being in the nitty-gritty and down on everyone's level, in person, face-to-face with you guys. And I just, in response to Judy, who feels that she doesn't know how to reach out for help and she doesn't know anyone here, that's hard. That's really difficult to navigate any kind of community in which you have no idea where to go or who to reach out to. Personally, I like to offer support in my role, continuing support even after services have been offered and, programs have been, scheduled, appointments have been scheduled, because it doesn't end with scheduling an appointment. It doesn't end with connecting you to services. It doesn't end there. Those struggles continue and they exist in our lives beyond, having a professional face in front of you that day. So, yeah, I like to do heart check-ins. It's one of my favorite things to do, and
Like actually following back up.
I do, yeah. So I'll reach out and I do it to the officers at the station. I do it to my coworkers, the other co-responders. I do it to pretty much everyone. I'm checking in on your heart. How is your heart? And I think we need more of that. Yeah.
And you really do that.
I do.
I know.
I'm sorry, guys.
I'm thankful for that. You really do. She really does do that. I want to. Is it anybody, somebody else wants to say something? Chester, I thought I saw your
So we
hand up.
have lots of comments. I would encourage people to go back
Let's
to
get it.
Facebook to read them. But I'm going to summarize the gist of some of them. On one hand, a number of people noted how important it is to be a helper, each of us individually, and how that can help to fill someone else's bucket, but in the same way fill our own. So we've had multiple comments about that. Someone shared a thanks for talking about the gaps and the barriers that exist, because that is helping to work towards change. And someone else also spoke anonymously about what they do, which is going to nature, meeting new people, paying attention to people that have things worse than they do, and recognizing that they need to talk about their feelings. So that's really, I think, the summary of all of those comments. Someone did have a question earlier on, and this is sort of a separate bucket, so I'll let you take this as you desire. But someone asked about how and when there might be change to gun laws.
Yeah. So, yeah. What I want to do is I'm going to table that. What I'm going to say is, thank you, Lord. There's going to be change to gun laws when people like you, and this is my challenge to you because that's what God put on my spirit, is to challenge people. When people like you continue to gather people like you and advocate to our legislators, to our leaders, the officials that we put in office, they're only there because we put them there because they represent us. Any of those kind of changes, whether it's gun laws, whether it's education reform, whatever it is you want to see, you take that collective group, like Pastor Reggie said, and in that collective group, you be the mighty group that you are, and you lobby your elected officials to seek the conditions that you want to see in society. That's when, because I can go to any city council meeting, I can go online, I can go to the news, and I can grandstand and tell great stories and debate it right and left. But at the end of the day, I am not an elected official. I'm a law enforcement officer. I am not a lawmaker. You got to go to your lawmakers, and healthcare, education, gun reform, whatever it is, you have to go to your elected officials and tell them, look, remind them we put you there, and this is what we want to see in society. You don't make rules. We tell you the things that we want you to do for our society, or we get you out. So I wasn't going to answer that, but why not? Again, I'm not an elected official. So I want to get real clinical, because this is going to help me, and it may help other people. I know I have some loved ones that may be tuning in and watching, and it might even help them. But clinical question: how do you know when it's grief because of the moment that we're dealing with versus depression and anxiety and something deeper, something clinical? Brother Brian, I see you slipped in, and I'm going to put you on the spot. Let's get clinical.
First, I'm humbled to be here. What comes to my heart as I listen to the circle, which I'm very humbled to be in, is how we're thinking when we're not at work. All of us have that person who did those atrocities. The persons have family members, right? And my question is for all of us in the room who have commas behind their name, right? Degrees, and I have been blessed to have many behind my name. Counselor education, master's counselor education, musician, licensed barber, coach, father, right? When I'm with family and I'm not at work and I'm at other places, I guess the question is, when we transition, who are we in those moments? Because I think people really need us a lot in those moments as well. This is somebody whose family's member who did this, right? And how do they get that help? And what can we be with all this that God has given us? And my I guess question and comment is, I think in this moment, we have to be committed to trying to pull something good out of this. We have to be committed to that. But the second thing I would say is, I think it's important for us to ask God who we need to be in certain situations and circumstances that we're facing or that we're in. Do you need me to be quiet? Do you really just need me to be strong? Do you really need me to speak up here? Do you need me to put my hat on for one of those things that I do? Do you need me to go to this person and see them? God, just lead me as to who do you need me to be?
I love that, and I want to make that, I want to apply that. I want to go back to what you said about some of these actors, because I didn't expect us to go there tonight in this conversation. And I want to lean into that with some of these actors, whether it was the shooter, the officers, whether it was that individual that stabbed that young lady on the subway train, with some of these actors. And you actually hit somewhere deep in my soul with that. How many of us passed by them, had contact with them, rubbed elbows with them, engaged with them? Are their family members? Are the grandparents? Is the cousins of? How many of us have passed those individuals in the grocery store and felt, and I kind of said that earlier, and it's funny you said what you said, and felt something off or their pain? How many of us as providers may they have possibly reached out to and called and we didn't answer before they did what they did? How's that thought of what he's saying as it applies to the suspects, the actors, the perpetrators in these violent crimes? How does that make you feel? I mean, am I the only one that feels that sense of Uncle Ben Spider-Man energy, that the person that I don't stop today is the person that's going to hurt somebody tomorrow? Am I the only one that carries that burden?
I want to chime in real quick. I think that in the days that we live, we have so much responsibility that we don't take a pause and a quick second to look around. And sometimes we want to make an impact. And I think we are all gathered here tonight because we want to make an impact in our generation, our children. If we want to make a difference and an impact, it starts at home. It starts at home. Sometimes you need to take a pause. You need to start listening and looking around. Because when we see these things happening, these are actions that are reflecting somebody's desperation for help. And we're so quick to judge and point fingers without knowing the mental health problems that that person is going through, the cause of desperation that no one listened or noticed just because we were so busy in our daily lives. And it starts at home.
Or you notice and you don't respond. How many times do we see that?
I want to make sure the online people can hear you.
How many times do we see that? We see, we recognize, but we don't take the step. You know, when you look at this room, we're all islands. All of us are islands. Most of us don't know each other or the organization. And I've worked with Board of Child Care, kids that have been abused every which way. And I know the one thing that is a common thread is you have to, when you work, and you've mentioned this here in this WellSpan group, you've got to be able to take that individual you're working with, whether it's a child, a woman, an adult, whatever it is, whatever age, and you got to plug them in. And you've got to know, we all know each other so that as I'm on the street working with someone, I can say, oh, by the way, let me introduce you to this person. And I should have some information here so that when somebody right now you've got people watching and asking questions. But let's take it into the real world. Shut down, we're out in the streets, we're going our own direction. Don't tell me you don't see people on the street, on a train, anywhere, walking, in a grocery store. You have eyes to see. Do you choose to close your eyes and not look? Or do you look, pray, and ask? I always ask God for boldness and opportunity. And you know what? He always responds. And I tell you, we have to be sensitive to the prompting of the Holy Spirit. And I believe that God does allow that to happen. And that we can plug people in to different people in this room so that I may not have that resource, but I know you do, or you do. And so why wouldn't I? Is it my pride that's keeping me away? Or am I humble and going to say, you know what, let me help you? And that's what we need to do. We need to extend our hand out and say, how can I help you? Don't tell me we don't see. Nobody in this room can tell me you don't see. You do see. We make a choice. Decisions determine destiny. We make a choice. 3 Ds. You make a decision, it determines your destiny. And so we have the ability to reach out at a time like this when we see at UPMC, when that tragedy happened there. Many of the nurses, doctors, custodians were affected by that. Do we just walk down the street and don't say anything to them? Can we encourage them? Can we bless them? You said it, just by being next to them. You don't have to say a word. But you know what? Our kids in your schools, how they responded, I love what you said. They are sensitive. Why aren't we sensitive? Because we've made a decision not to be sensitive. And we're in a world where, right now, we need to be sensitive. We need to be reaching out. We need to put our arm around somebody and say, how can I help you? And you know, one of the resources, I want to say this, churches have a lot of resources as well. So if you can plug in someone, you got to take, it's like sticking a plug into an outlet over here. You got to be able to plug them into the right outlet. And it, you know, no matter what church, but you know, I know, for instance, the churches that I go to, they have resources to help people that need help, financially, any which way. But we as a group need to understand each other, our strengths, and how we can support each other. When you meet somebody, and you just shared some stories that touched my heart, I'm thinking to myself, wouldn't it be nice, you know, if we could take that person step 2, you know, and plug them into a church or plug them in somewhere else. And so we have to take that responsibility. We don't have a leader. Well, Commissioner is the leader now. He's set this up. But the next step is, give me the ball, let me run it down the field. Are we willing to take the ball and run? You know? And then if I can't do it, can I lateral it over to her and pass it on? Are we willing to share? And we have to engage ourselves. We can't be prideful. If we want to help people, you have to be humble. My Bible says the author of compassion was Jesus. Why aren't we compassionate? Why? No compassion? You got to have a humble heart, right?
Commissioner,
I love it.
you asked a question I think is a what-if question. You asked a what-if, which is picking up a weight that you will carry forever because you can't do anything with it. A what-if question is something that you can't change. Like, it happened. You can't change it, so leave that weight where it is. I think for us, the question tonight is what now? It's the what now question. So the first answer to that is obviously the conversation. It's sharing the resources. 717-887-4273. Call me, text me. I'm a local pastor. I'm a police chaplain. So that is.
Can you give your name one more time for the folks watching?
What now? Yeah, go ahead. That's the what now. Oh, Tanya Brubaker, York City Police Chaplain and local pastor. So I think for us, it does come down to what now? What can we do right now? So we're sharing this information. I think the next step beyond sharing the information is their stories, the people that we have lost, the officers that we've lost, the people that we hurt for. We need to hear their stories, and their stories have to become our stories so that we can share their stories. So their suffering, not only is it not in vain, but it becomes lighter. Their burden becomes lighter, and the burden becomes lighter among all of us because we're sharing the responsibility of carrying that hurt.
Back to that group. Back to that, the power of the group. That's, well, I
Pastor
guess
Reggie's
that's,
a wise man.
I guess that's what we have here tonight. We have the power of the group. We have that
That's right.
support. I know we're getting near the time. I have, the next question that I have that I want to pose here towards the end is a bit of a selfish question. As a leader, what are young police officers out there, firefighters, teachers, nurses, people that are clinicians, people that are thinking about roles like this, that when these kind of incidents occur, they rattle you. They make you ask yourself, like with all the degrees and the education that you have, they make you, incidents like these make you ask yourself, is it worth it? What can people like him and Miss Laura and our WellSpan staff, what can we say to when we go back to work tomorrow? What can we say to our colleagues, those young men and women that are hurting, to keep them coming back?
Thank you. First of all, thank you. My name is Jonathan. I'm a clinician for START. Specifically, I work in the prison for our substance use program. So I work with corrections officers every day, and it has been tough for them, right? It's been tough for me. I'm not afraid to admit that, right? I tell others that what you do makes a difference. Every single day, you make a difference in someone's life. Whether it's be the police officers, the corrections officers, clinicians, pastors, or just Tom, Dick, and Sally on the street. You make a difference in someone's life with every interaction you make. And that's what I think we need to keep going and what we really need to foster, making that difference in everybody's life. So that is my light in the dark that I'd like to share.
Scott on
Go ahead, Chaz.
Scott on YouTube said the what now is what is happening right now, reaching out to all of York and not just one specific area. And from a personal perspective, I agree. We don't see people anymore. I've been on a mission for about the last 3 years walking the alleys of York City. And I say hello to every person that I meet. And I cannot tell you the litany of responses that I receive because I say hello to every single person that I meet. That should not be the extreme, right? We should all be seeing people every single moment of every single day. And I don't carry the burden of responsibility for doing bad things because I'm not trying to do bad things, right? But I do carry the burden of responsibility of, am I doing the right things that I'm called to, and therefore trusting that that will make a difference for other people that are in front of me. But if I never see them, if my face is in my phone, if I'm not willing to look them in the eyes, and I can tell you that people from all walks of life ignore me. I can tell you that people from all walks of life engage with me. It shouldn't be unusual to say hello to someone. And even my children, who some of them are in their 20s, say, Mom, like, you're gonna get yourself in trouble. I said, I'll take that risk.
I see you. And that's what that boils down to. I see you. I see you. You make a difference. What else can we take back?
Being intentional.
Be-
Being intentional.
Being,
When I look at officer over here and I look at these nurses over here, how can I be intentional, not just to at home be thankful and tell my family how much I appreciate you nurses, your doctors, your the officers on the street. I think we need to be intentional by maybe sending cards, maybe bringing food over, maybe inviting them, doing something. We have to, you asked about a young officer or somebody thinking about contemplating. I just met a young man who is actually contemplating going into the police department, and he's excited. I met him at Target. He was
good.
and very excited. So I spent time encouraging him, and I just met him. I don't know him. I just was in the line. I said, "What are you doing? Did you graduate?" The next thing you know, we're talking. Be intentional. Talk to people. Ask, and then get their names. And then why can't we every once in a while maybe send a couple dozen donuts or a fruit basket or something to you, and be honest from the heart. It's got to come from the heart. Talk is cheap. Let it come from the heart. Let people see that we care. Isn't that what we should be doing?
I love it. I see you.
The word that
Be
keeps
intentional.
coming to mind is seen, heard, and valued. We need to feel seen, heard, and valued. We're all walking in our purpose. We're all walking in our God-given, what God is pushing us to do. That's why we're helpers. But we have to see, hear, and value everyone. And just as much as we need it to, just like be intentional. Last week, we had a rough week in the district. I walked into my office Friday morning, there were flowers on my desk and a gift on my desk from my social workers who said, "We just want you to know you're amazing and we appreciate you." And that's what we need to do for each other. I don't like to be the center of attention. I don't think any of us do. None of us were probably even comfortable to be here, but it feels good. And we have to do that for each other. That simple text of, "Hey, how you doing?" Just anybody can walk into the district office, and I'm going to help you. If I'm there, I work at the district admin. You can walk into our schools. Our counselors and social workers are going to help anyone. I've driven families to the shelter. It's going that extra mile to help families. And it's not just us, and as I'm sitting here, I hear, charge the whole community. It's time for us to make a difference and put humanity behind this. We are all humans. Just like you talked about, it's not just the victims, it's the families of the person who did this. We need to pray and lift them up too. We need to have compassion for them. They're hurting too. We can all take a page out of the book of faith, and we have to put it into practice and show and be intentional, like you said. But we need to see, hear, and value people. When you walk by someone at Walmart, do you acknowledge them? You might change their day.
Let me tell you something. It only takes, I could tell you some stories.
It takes one hello.
We're coming down towards the, yeah.
When we connect with other people, we're much less likely to be harmful to that person. Just like you connected with that guy in line, or that gentleman, and when you see that person again, you're going to acknowledge it in a different way. And that's all it really takes. I do it every day.
Relationship.
Just acknowledging somebody else.
And care.
And when you see somebody, it's on even the biological level. And this was an interesting thing I saw recently, is when we know somebody, we'll actually expose our neck when we see them. We'll nod like this. If we don't know somebody, we'll nod down because we don't want to expose our neck. So that human connection is at a biological level. That's so important. So, I'm just going to echo everything everybody said. That is the one way we can change what's happening is human connection with each other.
I'm really surprised because I said, and thank you, Reiner, and I seen in the corner of my eye, I seen Lieutenant Howard, who was another shy individual, grab a microphone, and I wanted to make sure that you got a chance to say what you were going to say.
Every job in here, what's the common denominator? This is a calling. So for the young people that are thinking about doing any of these jobs, if they're hearing that calling and that's on their heart, that that's something that they want to do, step up. Take that initiative. All these agencies are overtaxed right now, right? We all need help. So if
It's
you're
not
feeling
gonna be-
that calling,
It's not going to be easy, but adding it to his thought, it's going to be worth it because you make a difference. Anybody want to say anything before, as we get ready to close out?
I just wanted to say, we also have to make sure we give ourselves grace. You know, each day that we go through, you know, the things that we go through and we deal with at work, we have to give ourselves grace and we check into ourselves to make sure that we're okay first. And then the individuals that we come across, give them grace, because we don't know what the person, even the person that we work with day to day, you never know what's going on at home, in their private life, wherever. So give yourself grace first, and then give the individuals that you come in contact with grace.
I love each and every one of the points that you guys made in closing. Brother Eric.
Two quick things. One, I just want to highlight Amy Berry and Brian Irons. They were the two teachers that passed away last week. And one of the things that you had said, you matter. And I've been amazed at the impact of their lives on so many people. And if you would ask Brian, Brian, what kind of impact do you have? Nothing. Yes, Amy, what kind of impact? Maybe some, like a couple people here. They had no clue at the impact. And so looking around the room, the impact that each of you have on our community, on your families, on people that you, like, there were people at Amy's funeral that knew her 30 years ago. They were showing up because she was intentional and she cared about it. And one last comment. Too often, and I'm guilty of this too, we ask kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? What is God calling you to be? Because he knows where you need to be, and it's right here.
God bless everyone. I'm Pastor Henry Rosado from Genesis Christian Ministry, and Denise, that's my beautiful wife there. I just want to say, sometimes we forget how fast time flies, and sometimes we waste time. And there's 24 hours in a day, and most of the time we work in 8 hours, and sometimes we sleep 8 hours. So there's few hours that we have. We need to, start getting more united. We need to, especially like the pastors in the church, we need to start bringing the church outside the four walls, because a lot of these young kids, this youth, a lot of them, they just need a hug. They need somebody. They need an ear. They need somebody to be there to listen to them. And sometimes, we bring this stuff, but there's no action. And to the church, especially to the church, there's church out there listening, we need to get united as one, as the body of Christ is one. And, we need to do more now for the community than ever. God bless everyone.
Appreciate you so much. I want to say I appreciate everybody for coming tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's funny, the word I took out of what you were saying was action. And I hope everyone here felt like we, even tomorrow or even Thursday, as we start to go to other funerals, through some of these events that we're dealing with, I hope everybody feels like we were able to be part of an action. I wanted this to be an action thing that we were doing tonight, and I felt like it was. I felt like that was accomplished. I hope whatever was in God's plan for whomever needed to hear it got a chance to hear it or be part of it. And I just thank you all again for coming and participating in this. And if anything, and I'll make this proclamation, I'm reading about proclamations, as a community, that my hope is that I hope we continue to unite like this and let this become the new standard. We know bad things are going to continue to occur, but let a circle like this continue to be the new standard for how we help this community and help ourselves process that pain.
I have some free resources that I cannot be quiet about before you wrap up. The Friends and Neighbors in York has an amazing center called The Beacon. It's on Duke Street. And when you're looking for a place and you have nowhere else to go, that is a safe place full of people that are loving and caring. It's a place of belonging for everyone. There's also a website called inclusivetherapist.com, and they have a crisis section on their website for warm lines. They don't call them hotlines. You can call different warm lines depending on what is a good fit for you, whether it's the color of your skin or the way you identify. They have people trained that are there to serve you 24/7 for free when it feels like there's nowhere else to go.
And that's, you said again, say it again.
It's called inclusivetherapist.com.
Okay, did you get that, Ms. Chastity? Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Chastity, in the back. Ms. Frederick, was there anything that was glaring on there that needed to be said before we close out?
There's a very quick question.
Yes.
Someone asked if the co-responder or Reiner do any checkup on retirees.
On police retirees, on any retiree?
I think just retirees in general.
The answer to that is yes.
Yes, always.
You do that, and anytime anyone would ever have an issue they wanted to address or, just needed to talk to somebody, I'm always available for that, and Jenny also. So the answer is yes, without getting too
and
lengthy.
How would they contact you?
So for me, my office is in City Hall. My number is 717-758-5398. That's my work cell phone, and you could always reach out to me, or my email, mreinert@yorkcity.org.
My contact information, my cell phone is 717-586-8665. You can call or text. You can reach me by calling 911 and asking for a co-responder. My badge number is 9656. You can email me. My email is jbrenneman8@wellspan.org or jbrenneman@yorkcity.org.
And that's Jenny with one N.
And Jenny with one N, yes.
I think we got a chance to touch everybody. I have to do this because I just got pulled on my heart. Your college parting words? I know.
I'm deep in my head the whole time because I'm always thinking about the really complicated social structure we're all locked into. And so when I think about accessing resources and how complicated that is when you don't have the money to do so, and the power structures that we're locked in, and frankly, I know it's unpopular to say, but the problems we still have with the ideas about masculinity and associating femininity with like talking about your feelings and being vulnerable, all those things that are fundamentally human that we deny males pretty generally, but we don't really talk about that enough. And it leads them to feel desperate. So I feel like we're often trying to distill these problems down into like, what is this one root cause that we can fix? And it's so complicated. And then you often see the same kinds of people in the room that are trying to solve the problem. And so what I've been thinking the whole time is, how do we start to bring in the people who are not the ones that are thinking about it, who aren't the ones that are trying to show up, the ones that really actually need to be reached, and a lot of them men. I've done some work with Endai and with her team, and just today actually had an interview with one of their credible messengers, who's a young man who's really turned his life around, and he is surrounded by women. He has like 9 sisters, and his mom in his life, and he talked about those being the people that really gave him the foundation to be a full and complete human being and be honest and open and vulnerable and like to learn how to deal with issues not through a violent manner. And that he didn't really have a man around to do that for him. We know that that is not just a problem in urban settings. That is very much a problem in rural settings. In white communities, it is. And I wish that we could talk about that more openly and honestly, because while everyone can be a victim and is, we know that it's often young men. So why aren't we really focusing on that and what it is that they need and what the cultural problems are? Because it's great to be reactive, to manage trauma after it's happened. Ideally, though, we prevent it. And I think that we do that through huge cultural shifts.
And you were sitting there holding that in the whole time on me? You get snaps for that. Thank you so much. Yeah, wow. And I love V, by the way. I love him as a human being. I've loved him since he was a kid. And I think it's funny that you say that, and it made me think of him, and for whatever reason it made me say that, because I think that's the one thing we can all control. That's the one thing that ends up being everybody in this room's collective superpower, and everybody watching, is we all have the ability to love somebody, to just love on them just a little bit, even for a moment. And you never know what that moment may do. You never know what that moment may stop. You never know what that moment may fix. You never know what that little moment of loving on somebody may change. So that would be my parting word, is for everybody watching, love on somebody. So again, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I hope that you felt like somebody cared. I hope you felt like you mattered. I hope you felt like we were being intentional. I hope you felt like we all care. I hope you realize that this community is a better place with you in it, and we are all better when we're together like this. So thank you for tuning in. I will say this. I hope we never have to do this again. And the only reason why I say that, and I love everybody in this room and what you bring to the table, but if we never have to do this again, that means this community has never had to experience another trauma like this. So no more bad days. All right, good night, everybody. Oh, can you pray us out? Can we get one of our pastors to pray us out? Please leave this on, Cliff.
I'm not going to be bashful, all right? Let's pray. God, we thank you. We thank you. We thank you for your awesome love that you showed us. We thank you for bringing us together tonight for one cause. And we pray, most gracious God, that people feel that we care more than how much we say we care, that we show them that we care. Lord, we want to pray for covering over those families that lost loved ones. And we want to pray over our community as a whole. And we thank you, most gracious God, in the name of Jesus Christ, for bringing us together tonight to be able to share a word of comfort. Thank you for bringing us together in our differences and allowing us to be one body tonight in you. So, Father, we thank you for Commissioner Muldrow and the vision that he had, and we're thanking him for exposing us to it as well. And, Father, we just want to ask in the name of Jesus Christ that you protect our going and our coming, and you keep us protected from any hurt, harm, or danger of any kind. Lord, this is our plea tonight, that you heal our community, heal our families, heal, oh God, those young men and women who are destined for new lives instead of the old ways. And we pray, most gracious God, in the name of Jesus Christ, like the Commissioner said, that we don't have to meet for this purpose, but we need to meet so that we can begin to impact and not impress. So, Father, we bless you for tonight. We bless you for all that you've done with us, in us, and through us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Thank you, everybody, for coming. I don't have any of those neat little feedback surveys, but does everybody feel like this